Excuse me. Good evening, everybody to watching. Welcome to Thursday Night Live, Blue Collar Fishing. Let me mute this. Excuse me. Thank you for coming in tonight. I am Blue Collar Fishing, the real one. Seen some imitators as of late, but remember, copies are never as good as the original. Come on in. We'll talk a little fishing, talk about the week, make some plans, get a little watch time. Share this out a little bit. Excuse me. How's everybody's week going? Hey, Tammy.
Howdy, howdy. Can you hear me okay?
I didn't think I can. I didn't think you could make it.
No, I tweeted you back. I said if Zach went to sleep, then I could. Then I'd jump on.
Oh, okay. How's it
Oh,
going?
hold on. I got a cool tool I want to show you.
Okay.
Hanging in there. Just had to take him to a funeral today for his grandfather on his mom's side.
Oh, that sucks.
His mom asked if I could. His mom asked if I could handle that, doing that with him, and I said, of course. You know me, always doing the right thing. And Zach really wanted to be there, so I made it happen. Ooh, hold on. A new tool.
Braid scissors? Oh, crossover pliers. Scissors and pliers.
No, no, it's not even that. It's the little tube things with the ring for doing wacky rigs. It's Rapala's version of that. Only it's a
wacky rig.
it stretches here. I'll put this right above the camera. See the
Oh yeah.
It comes with these cool little bands, and it has 4 holes, so you can wacky rig one direction or the other. And it's got a little place inside the handle to keep the little rings in. And since I've been becoming one with the fairy wand after 50 years of never touching one if I didn't have to, and I've been catching a ton of fish wacky rigging. So Rapala or VMC and Rapala just came out with this, and I figured I'd give it a try. Plus, I had like a 25% off coupon to try it, and I got, of course, because I'm a sucker for my bass fishing kid MZ, I got him one too. He's down fishing the U.S. Open. The Bass Pro Shops just started that big U.S. Open thing for amateurs. He and Michael Johns are fishing that Saturday on Okeechobee. So he left right from the funeral to drive 7 hours to Okeechobee to fish the U.S. Open, or the Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open, whatever the full title is. The other cool thing that I'm immediately attracted to, we're suckers for everything. So they have clear rings that are clear. They have black, which is when I'm throwing June bug. They also have green pumpkin, and I know you can't really see the color here, but so you can match the colors of the ring to the bait. I just thought it was cool. I'm gonna play with it, but I know I'm not on Team Rapala. I'm not on Team VMC. Just thought it was a cool tool, and I had 25% off, so I bought a couple. I'm a sucker for a good discount.
Yeah, well, I'm not sponsored by them or nothing, but Rapala was a gateway drug. That original floating Rapala, the original.
Yeah,
that was the first lure I bought. Hit the water, bass came up, boom. That was it. Yeah, I was hooked.
And one of the first baits my kids ever caught fish on that wasn't a Cinco style bait was the Rapala Shad Rap. The little balsa shad wraps. And my kids have caught more fish on those stupid little crankbaits. The only issue with those things is you almost have to throw them on a spinning rod because they're so light. I mean, they have no weight to them whatsoever. But their action in the water, especially when the water is cooler or they're schooling, is just insane.
Well, you got to think when they were invented, like cranking rods weren't a big thing. When Rapala came up with that,
right?
Everybody was using, even the bass guys were using spinning gear back then.
Oh yeah, and closed-faced reels, or those big. And I still have one, a Daiwa Millionaire, those giant, heavy bait casters that had virtually nothing. It was almost free spool, but I still keep that thing. That was my very first bait caster.
Abu had one back in the day too, the Ambassador. You remember the Abu Ambassadors?
Yep. In fact, what's funny is that Daiwa Millionaire of mine. Yeah, my Daiwa Millionaire looks exactly like. I mean, they clearly copied the entire design. I mean, it looks like an Ambassador reel. It's the shape, the housing, everything.
How is Zach and them doing?
Doing good. Doing good. I need to find him an aid, though. The 24/7 work weeks with Zach is killing me, but it's just hard to balance. He takes so much energy in a given day. It's hard to, do my other two jobs. My actual job that pays me and my startup company job. So
you got a startup?
Yeah, can't say much about it just yet, but I'll give you a hint. Go look at Barbara Harris's new jersey.
Okay, I will after this.
It's the only one on there you won't know. But yeah, we're in about our third or fourth week of development. We should have a minimum viable product done by April, and then I'll come back on your show and we'll talk all about it.
Perfect. I think you think too much of me.
Why?
Because there are a couple on here I don't know. Know that one. Don't know that one. Don't know that one. Know that one. Know that one. Know that one. Okay, there are 3 I'm not exactly familiar with. So you're one of
Never
the 3.
know. Could be the most
all
awesome
3.
people on the planet.
Could be. I guess I'll check out all those 3. Lena Music, just wanted to say hi. Well, hello, Lena. Thanks for coming in. You spending your time back and forth between the lake house and the Florida area?
Yeah, and here, yeah. In fact, as soon as Zach gets picked up at 6 o'clock on Sunday, goes back to his mom's house, then I'll head to the lake. Corey's already there with 2 of our 3 dogs. I'm here with Pepper, my rescue hound lab mix dog, and so as soon as Zach goes to his mom's house Sunday at 6, then I'll head to the lake with my Pepper dog. Yeah, the whole plan is to live there a week, and then Zach weeks will be in Florida because all of his services and stuff are here. So it's just easier to have a week here. And if we do ever find an aide, there's not going to be an aide that's willing to drive an hour and a half up to Georgia to work every day on our weeks. So we'll always have a presence here.
Hmm. Now you have another son that fishes in the tournaments, right?
Yeah, Matthew, my middle son, he's on Twitter and stuff at Matt Drazel. He's as addicted as I am. I mean, he's been fishing since he was 4 years old. He's been tournament fishing since he was 13, and he's addicted. That's all he wants to do. I mean, he's doing right now is trying to figure out the easiest path to fishing full time. I told him, dude, if I was you and your age, I would go back to work for Bass Pro Shops. I would transfer to one of the ones in Central Florida, like Orlando. I said I would fish every minute I wasn't working and save every penny to start entering tournaments. I mean, there's so many series and so many tournaments in that Central Florida area. I mean, he wouldn't have to leave an hour or 2 hour radius, and he could fish some of the biggest tours out there. So it's, if I was going to do it, that's how I would do it. I would live cheap, sleep in my truck. He was full time at Bass Pro. He's got full benefits. He had full benefits and everything. So, and he left on really good terms with them. I'm sure he could get a job down there. Their turnover rate, Bass Pro Shops turnover rate is pretty high. So I'm sure he could get a job down there, but it's about pulling the trigger, I think he wants to do it. He's afraid to take the jump.
I hear you.
But
does he, besides Twitter, does he have a social media presence?
Yeah, he mostly does his stuff on Instagram. I can't stand Facebook and Instagram. I do it because I have to, but I'm obviously a Twitter guy. But yeah, he's got a presence on all 3. It's Matt Drazel on all 3. Facebook.
Does he have a YouTube presence?
There's not a whole lot of Drazels out there, so he's pretty easy to find.
Very few people I know whose last name starts with Z.
Yeah.
Does he have a YouTube presence? Does he have a YouTube page?
I think he has an account, but I don't think he takes 100 million hours of video and only posts clips. So I don't know if he's ever going to go that route or not.
Hmm. It takes a little time and dedication.
Oh yeah.
And I'm nobody, and that takes me time and dedication. I can't imagine what some of the huge guys do. That well, most of them have staff now, but back when they were all doing it all themselves.
Oh yeah.
Because pretty much everybody started out the same way, like me. I do all my filming, my own editing, my uploads, and I guess it beats having a real job one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you captaining for the high school team?
Yeah. In fact, we just had a really good outing. My boat kids um, finished like there was 120 something. This was BASS. This is the Bass Nation High School.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 120 or 130 boats. You know, Cricket Coates from our fishing circle. She was up
Mm-hmm.
fishing that one on Seminole also. But they finished 60th, and our other boat, Matthew's kids, finished the high 30s, like 37th or 38th. They did really well.
That's a good placement. What was the bag?
The my kids had I think like 11 or 12 pounds, and Matthew's kids had like just shy of 14 pounds, I think.
That's a good bag
No
for high school.
big kickers. That was yeah. No, and then it's if my kids had listened, they were just too they can't fish slow enough. Matthew's kids did exactly what we did in practice a week ago. Stayed way back because they're not locked on yet. At least the fish that week weren't locked on, but there were 50, 60 fish cruising around, waiting to bed or getting ready to bed, and we just stayed way back and threw wacky rigs on a spinning rod, and we caught 12 fish the week prior, and we were only out there about 4 hours. And one of them was little over 4 pounds. So, but our younger kids listened and fished really slow with the spinning rods and did great. So,
I don't know
but
what our
my
water
older
temps are
kids were
here.
just too antsy.
I'm off. I got a extended weekend this weekend. I'm off tomorrow. Looks like the water's opening up here, so I was thinking about taking the yak out this weekend and seeing, but water temp's probably still in the
Cool.
40s. Yeah, water temp's probably still in the 40s
Jeez.
here, though. I was gonna
I
ask
don't
you,
think
what
our
would
water
you be
temp
looking?
ever gets to that cold.
I was gonna ask you, like, what should I be looking for? But you wouldn't know about 40-degree water temperatures, would you?
Dude, it's very rare. One, I fished one tournament on Okeechobee. Practice, 2 days of practice, the water temps were in the mid 60s. And then overnight, Saturday morning of the tournament, the water temps were in the mid 40s. I mean, it dropped like 20 degrees, but it's shallow water. So a hard cold front like that can cool it down really quick. But that's about and all the only bites I got all day is when I was punching mats and I just hit them on the head with it. I think it was pure reaction bite. I don't think they were eating at all, especially Florida stream bass. They get so finicky uh, when it gets that cold, or they have a cold front like that. So typically, I just assume they're not going to eat at all, and I'm going for I have to hit enough of them on the head and make them reaction bite it to get bit.
You were just in their bubble.
Yep.
I wonder if that's
You just got to
they
hit
sense
enough of them
danger.
on the head. What's that?
I wonder when they're not in the mood to feed, like they sense danger on that lateral line. They pah, you know what I mean? Like they attack. It's a fighter,
Yeah.
fight or flight response.
Fight or flight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But supposedly the northern strain largemouth aren't as affected by the cold anyway, so they could. I mean, I assume they eat under the ice all winter, right? I mean, they got to
Yeah,
be eating. I see people catching them
I
ice
mean
fishing.
they're
I mean, if
lethargic.
they're catching them ice fishing, they've got to be. What's that?
They're lethargic, but I mean they're not bears. They don't hibernate, so
Right.
they're more lethargic in the wintertime.
So
Well, what you really have a hard time with is because like snow and ice is it's a self insulator. So when there's
mm,
like ice on when there's ice on the water, that like traps the heat at a not heat but the temps. Um, when you live up north, you the water turns, it flips each season. So like
right.
warm air rises and cold air falls. So in the wintertime, the warmer water is deeper because the colder it's colder on the surface than it is in the after you go like 6 feet down or something like that. The temperatures change drastically, and then in the summertime it flips, or so and it's like when the ice is on, they go deeper, and then before that they come up shallow because the sun's warming the surface of the water. So when the ice and the snow is on, that
Right.
that shadows out the sun, so the deeper water's warmer. So that's how I was explained to it one time. So they they get lethargic, in cold water temperatures, but they still eat. They might just eat instead of eating every day. They might eat every 3 days.
Yeah. Well, down here when it gets cold, all you can do is slow way down. I don't know if you saw Seth Feider had a great article on Bassmasters. He finally had a good finish in Florida, and he said it's because he finally slowed way down. And that's the only thing you can do with Florida strain largemouth when it gets cold like that is slow way down. You got two options: you slow way down, or you hit them on the head and get lucky and you get a reaction strike. But the best way to catch them consistently when the water temps are really low or when there's a hard cold front is to slow way down. And I mean like drag it a foot, stop. No twitching, no wiggling. Then you might drag it another foot and stop. I mean, it is very, very slow. It's a dead stick kind of presentation, but that's the only way. And when we were catching them last weekend on Seminole with the wacky rigs, we weren't doing anything with them. I mean, we'd literally throw it out there, let it sink to the bottom, and just lay there. Then we might pop it up, 30 seconds later, let it fall down again, but we were doing nothing to it. I mean, all of our bites came when the thing was laying dead on the ground, dead on the bottom, not doing anything. That's how they were biting.
Uh, it's
So,
been that way up here for a while now, and I think it's that way. Uh, well, with the growing popularity of it all now, a lot. What was it? I read last year licenses alone there were 10 million added fishing licenses than normal. So there were 10 million more people buying a fishing license and need a license to go last year than did before. And that's people that need a license. Most states, if you're under 16, you don't need
yeah,
a license. Kids were home and nothing was open. They're going fishing. So, but up here, like especially in the summertime, our local lakes, they
right.
stay that pressure. That fairy wand is constantly in my hand. The slow way down is pretty much the go-to. You know, we have, of course, we have different
Yeah.
seasons. You've got like 2 seasons. You've got like a, early spring and hot. But up here we got
Yeah. Yeah.
up here we have different seasons and
You
it gets
know,
cold.
we
So
don't even get a real,
blow it out.
we don't even really get an actual winter. I mean, winter for us is we might get a couple of hard freezes, you know, it might be 28, 29 degrees, but then by the next day it's 50 degrees again, 60 degrees again. So you can't really count it as a winter.
Actually, this year
The calendar says
I went
it's winter, but
I went ice fishing one time this year because this year we didn't. Temperature wise, we had some snows. We had a lot of. It was a pretty snowy winter for us, and in inches or whatever, but wasn't that cold. Like, to get a big snow, it's 32, 30 to 34 in that range. It's when you get that wet, heavy snow because of uh, the accumulation.
yeah.
Fat guy outdoors. Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing, bud? Cashing checks and snapping necks. Good evening, Kelly and Tim. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming in.
Hey, man.
Hey, man, I was just telling Tim I might take the yak out this weekend and give it a try if I can find some open water. I don't know what the water temps are going to be though. That concerns
Yeah,
me
but you'll be
more.
fishing. You'll be fishing.
Yeah, I'll be fishing. Hopefully, the thing about that is I'm still not 100% brave about kayak fishing yet. And I figure it's going to happen one day. I don't want it to happen on a day the water temps are 35. If I ever flip that thing. you know?
Yeah.
Flurries?
Do you have a cold suit you can wear?
No.
Because I don't. I mean, it's not a fear down here much, but I know that's serious stuff. I mean, you could die very quickly that way. Your body
Maybe
temperature
not.
drops so fast.
Maybe I'll bank fish then. Flurry Saturday and a few days next week.
Yeah.
Cold as heck. Okay. It's 70 today. Gorgeous out.
Nice.
I left work today. I'm like, man, there should be laws against working on days like this.
Yeah. Well, it got up pretty hot this afternoon. I think it was close to 80. It was 80 something degrees this afternoon. It's almost time for the heat waves to start. We
I don't
get
know.
so little time without the heat.
Yeah, I've got an extra day off tomorrow, Chris. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like tomorrow. So I'll try to go fishing tomorrow, I think. I got to film something this week, too. Trying to meet my upload schedule. Making some big boy moves this year. If I could have found open water, I would have faked an engine.
Jack?
Yeah, me too. I guess we can all go down to Seminole and fish with Tim.
Yeah, come on
What,
down. Tim? Just make sure it's not a Zach week.
I'll shoot you a message.
Yeah. I sent you the links to both houses.
Yeah, I showed them to my wife. We appreciate it. If we did do that, we would probably rent out your Airbnb. Just really
If you brought a bunch
appreciate
of people, but like I
it.
said, if it's just you and but if it's just you and your wife coming down, you just stay with us. You have your own bedroom. You have the queen bedroom in our house.
Well, I've also got 2 kids.
You got your own bathroom right across the hall. We take good care of you. And my wife is a hell of a cook.
Open water near Central Jersey. Yeah, I gotta get my Jersey license. See, up here, Tim, We are, well, right now, any trout approved waters we're locked out of during March. You can't fish them if they put trout in them, even if you're not targeting trout. If the state puts trout in them, you can't fish until April 3rd. We have seasons up here for some species, and then bass, we cannot tournament fish bass until the opener in June because it's illegal to fish bass on bed here. You can't bed fish here. So a lot of guys, I live 20 minutes from New Jersey, so a lot of guys, they get the New Jersey license and go fish in New Jersey until it opens. Jack Van Fleet, hello and good night
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you, he was on Twitter asking for the link, and I'm like, I thought you had it on there. That's how I got here.
How you doing tonight, Jack? He said, "Hey, Spanky." I guess that's you. I don't think he's ever called me that.
Could be me. I don't know. I'm okay. You can call me
Could be
anything you
Chris.
want.
Hey, I'll be stocking beds on the Bay and Candlewood. I don't know where Candlewood is. I'm guessing that's New Jersey.
I've heard of Candlewood, but I don't remember where it is.
Hey, Chris, have you fished? Have you kayak fished the Susquehanna? I might go up there and fish. They have a couple of the tournaments over there. Susquehanna. Well, the Susquehanna up here, Tim, is great for smallmouth. It's supposed to be one of the best smallmouth fisheries in the world.
Nice.
You
Yeah, I
don't have
think Derek,
smallmouth,
you know,
right?
BHO.
Mm-hmm.
Derek. No, not this far down. But I've caught a couple of smallmouth on Tennessee River impoundments like Pickwick.
Mm-hmm.
Caught one on Pickwick, and I caught one on, I think it was Wheeler, maybe. But they were little; they weren't big enough to keep. But no, we don't have them down here. But the Seminole, if you go way up the Flint River, we have shoal bass, which is a very specific version of bass and legal in the tournaments. In fact, that's what Keith Poche was targeting when he won the Toyota Series event on Seminole. He went all the way up to Flint and was fishing rock eddies and catching shoal bass, SHOAL, because I know I
Yeah,
mumble like a
I've heard
Southerner.
of them. That's a Georgia strain, right?
Yeah, I think they only exist in that river system. I think or very few anyway. And they only get to be about 3 or 4 pounds. They don't get big, but you can catch it. They're a lot easier to catch, supposedly. But two guys in the Toyota Series that tried to get up there after them tore their uh, lower units off. I'm never going up there, at least not in my bass boat. Keith Poche used his little 10 boat and went all the way up there. But there's boulders the size of, vans right underneath the surface up there.
Yeah, I was talking about
So,
the Susquehanna earlier. You see, when you go over there on that river, you see these guys. They all have these cages built under their props. These rebar cages built under their props. So Susquehanna's famous for being a
yeah.
mile wide and a foot deep.
Yeah.
Which Chris said,
Don't they do
no, I'd
don't they
like to
use a lot
live.
of jet boats there too?
Probably. But I know they all have, even on their jet boat. I mean, it is really shallow in some areas. They have these rebar cages so they skim across the top of the rocks so they don't, even the jet props so they don't bang it.
Yep.
Basically, like almost like their props are level with the bottom of their boat.
Yep, that makes sense.
Jet boats rule the Susky. Yeah, pretty much. Chris said, no, I'd like to live. But man, every time I fish the Susquehanna, I can tell you if you fall out of the yak in the Susquehanna, here's what you do: stand up, because probably about waist deep. it's, it's
If you can, the current's not hit. If the current's not too bad, I guess you could.
there are some
Otherwise, it'll
places
just knock you back down.
there are some places, it is a river. There are some places the current gets sketchy. Time of year. We had a dry year last year, though.
Yeah.
But they have a big kayak tournament on it, so. Link was on his profile page. Nice shout out, guys. Build metal boxes. Yeah, guys build metal boxes to go around the outdrive. Yep. Biggest smallmouth is 2 pounds. I've got that one. You know what's funny, Chris? I've got that beat, but only because of where I grew up. But my smallmouth and my largemouth, biggest largemouth, are almost the same size, and that's pretty sorry for a largemouth. Yeah, I've got a 4 pound smallmouth out of Del Hollow, and I've got a 4.6 largemouth out of the farm pond. 4 pounds is a good smallmouth, I think.
They're quality fish, dude. That's a 20-pound bag. You catch 5 of them.
Yeah. Well, the lake I caught that one out of, it's got a good strain. It's got good genetics because the world record, which will probably never be beaten, 13 pounds and something. Smallmouth is out of there.
Jeez.
From the Kentucky side. 13 pounds for a smallmouth. That's a beast. Now, I will tell you something about like smallmouth over your Florida strain, because they're used to current and different riverways. You ain't caught a largemouth that can put up the fight a smallmouth can. 4 pound smallmouth will fight like a 10-pound largemouth.
Oh Lord. Even a 10-pound largemouth is only going to fight for about 36 seconds. They don't fight very long. They're not. They wear out real quick. You just have to be steady on them and give them a chance to work it out of their system.
I would say pound for pound, to me, freshwater wise, nothing can fight like a smallmouth. He'll come out of the water, he'll do acrobats, and he'll go back down. you know.
The only one I would counter you with is striper. The stripers will wear you out. Every summer, we try to make at least one trip. Our local lake, the close lake here, is Lake Talquin, and there's a spring-fed creek. If you go way back up to the back of where the creek comes into the lake, the big stripers come off the lake and go way up to the back of this creek because the water's so cold. You can throw just like white swim jigs, vibrating jigs, little spinner baits, and you can catch a 7 or 8 pound striper that'll wear you out for 20 minutes. Get him in the boat. They're good eating too, but you can only keep 3 of them. So.
Yeah, and make sure you cut out the red meat.
Yeah, the bloodline.
Mm-hmm. I used to think they were nasty growing up because my grandparents said they call them. It's funny, in certain areas of the world they call them rock bass, and up here a rock bass is what we grew up calling a red eye. And but my grandparents, and they used to think they were nasty because they didn't fillet. They scaled and gutted fish the old way. And when you do that, you got that bloodline in them. That bloodline is nasty. But if you fillet it and cut that bloodline out, it's a nice white meat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, striper can put up a fight. I've caught a few. You have anything you have? Well, living in Florida, you got a array of options. But you have anything that you haven't caught that's on your list?
Oh yeah, I've got tons of stuff. Haven't caught a tarpon. I want to catch a tarpon at some point. I want to catch a snook. And again, I don't do a whole lot of saltwater fishing, so a lot of my list, it's the 2 or 3 trips a year that I got to try to get those fish on. But I haven't caught a snook yet. Haven't caught a bonefish, and I really want to catch a tarpon. Those three kind of like primary sport fish that I'd like to catch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I definitely want to. I mean, my bucket list is mostly devoted to coming up there where you guys live and catching, 5, 6 pound smallmouth in an hour. Those guys that get on the smallmouth up there and just wear them out. I want to have one of those days where I catch, a string of 5 and 6 pound smallmouth where my hands are hurting, my arms are hurting. That's definitely high on the bucket list because I don't count the two little like 14 inchers I caught on Pickwick and Wheeler. I think it was Pickwick and Wheeler, or maybe Kentucky. It may have been Kentucky and Pickwick, but I don't count those. I want to catch some of those big shouldered smallmouth girls that'll wear me out. But freshwater wise, I don't think there's anything I really care about enough that I haven't caught. No. But there's a ton in saltwater that I'd like to catch.
You have a peacock bass? Jack Van Fleet says, "Me no peacock bass."
Oh
Do
yeah,
you have a
that's
peacock
true.
bass?
Peacock is on my list for sure. And got buddies on Twitter down south that will gladly take me out to those canals and catch them. I just got to get down there.
When you're fishing in Florida,
Life, always in the way.
yeah, have you caught snakeheads in these? Have you caught snakeheads in these Florida waters? Because you have them down there.
I've never caught a snakehead.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly in the canals down there. I don't think
Yeah,
they've made it into the lakes yet, but because we'd be catching them all the time the way we fish. But
they were a big
but
scare
I'm pretty
for.
sure they're in the canals.
They were a big scare there for a while, and I guess there's reason to be, but I figured, well, especially in Florida. Florida's there ain't nothing from Florida originally. You know what I mean?
No,
Florida's
not even our grass. I mean,
yeah, not even your people.
like
you know?
we love like we love fishing hyacinth mats, but apparently hyacinth is an invasive species. So
Mm-hmm. But
the hydrilla is an invasive. A bunch of them are technically invasive.
well, they were saying
They were not
like
natural.
yeah, they were not natural. They were scared that they were going to completely decimate the native bass populations or whatever. And here you are, a Florida angler
Yeah.
who bass fishes, never caught one. So they didn't decimate the bass
No.
fishing evidently.
I've
But
never even heard of them in the Florida lakes yet. I've heard of them being in the canals down in the Miami area, South Florida, but I've not heard that they're in Okeechobee or in Kissimmee or Toho.
but
I'm sure eventually they will. They're breed like crazy and they're hardy as hell.
and they're
Can't
a good
stop it
fight.
forever.
And evidently, they're a good fight, and they're aggressive. They bite on, like top water is they're fun to fish for, and they're delicious.
Yeah.
I've had them; they're delicious.
No, I think do you know Darcizzle from YouTube?
I do.
Darcy.
I also know it from Twitter.
I think she did a catch and cook of snakehead. I think she
Mm-hmm.
has a catch and cook of snakehead.
They got
I think it was her.
they got almost like a scallop texture. They're real meaty.
Oh, nice. I love scallops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably love it.
Uh,
Dude, I'm from South
someone who
Louisiana. I'll eat anything that doesn't eat me first.
South Louisiana. I've never caught a redfish. He's You ever catch a redfish? Being from
Dude, I
Louisiana.
haven't even caught a tell Chris, I haven't even caught a double digit yet. When I catch a double digit, then I'll take you to catch a double digit. But I can put you in water that I guarantee you have a shot at catching a double digit.
I don't think
Definitely.
that
We can
exists.
trade that for sure.
Well, we live in a state that our state record for largemouth is 12 pounds. You probably know guys who've got bigger PBs than that.
Yeah. Sadly, it's not me, but yeah.
Peter
I think I have
Northfield.
to go to Texas.
Welcome.
Florida still hasn't given me a bass over 7 pounds.
Texas is good fisheries. Let's catch up on some comments here. Pick up ass. Someone hooked this man up on Watts Bar. For smallmouth, he doesn't want Watts Bar. He wants Del Hollow. It's deeper and it's clearer, and Del Hollow has better genetics. If that's what you're talking about. Watts Bar, if you want catfish, or Watts Bar is just fun. I mean, it is. It's fun. I did Watts Bar a couple of years. Matter of fact, I was on Watts Bar. I went catfishing with fishing with Billy. Now we used Panfish Bill back then on Watts Bar right after I met you a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all did a video of that.
Yeah, we were fishing right
Right?
outside of the complex on the Tennessee River there for a while, right where the guys were fishing.
Yeah.
If I had a boat, I'd
Yep.
trade Tim a double-digit trip for a Godzilla Smalley trip. Yep. Well, Tim's got a boat and he's
Can
got a
do.
house, so we got tons of stripers at Texoma Lake, Texas. I have fished Texoma Lake. Ha! I didn't know you were from that area of Texas, Jack. I have fished Texoma Lake. I used to work for the railroad. We had some Texas guys there. We went down to do some work for the BNSF, and they are headquartered out of Fort Worth. And I know some guys down there living the Texas-Oklahoma line. We went to Texoma Lake while we were down there. Sea scallops are money. Yeah, they're pricey. Red River is full of mineral. They grow like weeds. Oh, okay. Guys, I've been on. And they drain that lake it came from. Yeah, I mess that up every time. Yeah, I mess that up every time. Watts Bar in Del Hollow. Yeah. Watts Bar and anything in the Tennessee River system actually, you got to be wary of. They had that ash spill a few years back. There was some mercury content. They wouldn't let you eat any. Well, I don't eat bass anyway, but they wouldn't let you eat fish and stuff out there for a while, and it affected. I mean, any toxic spill is going to affect the fishing for a bit, the fisheries, and also a lot of Tennessee has those Asian carp. You don't have any problems with the Asian carp down there, do you?
Not yet.
Not yet. Count your blessings.
Not yet.
Like I said before, they're here, and I think we're just gonna have to get used to them. So it's another one of those things. Like, since I've been on this planet, nature has a way of figuring itself out. You know.
Yeah. And we just need to do our best to stay out of the way and let it do its thing. Yeah. I think the more we try to mess with it, the worse we make it. I mean, what they're doing to Okeechobee and some of the Central Florida lakes with poison, literal poison that they're using to control the grasses is disturbing beyond belief. I mean, if you really want to mess everything up, start messing with everything. I mean, that's, it's like,
Also,
it wasn't intended to do
Okeechobee
this. And then you wonder. Yeah, well, they drained it, or were in the process of draining it, and then somebody got somebody to stop that, and they were going to let it come up again to try and flush out and clean out a bunch of stuff. But I don't really know where it's at because I took the year off. Or the year was canceled on me because I didn't want to take it off. Um, I haven't really been paying attention to the water levels down there. When the season's getting close and starting, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna look at Okeechobee right now. Um, when I'm in full blown season mode, I watch all those lake levels like a hawk because it decides for me, some of the places that I can and can't get into, some of the techniques that I want to try or do is all based on the water level. So I watch those things like a hawk. Oh no, what happened to my link? They must have moved their site. My link to the Okeechobee water level's not working anymore. Boo! That sucks. That was hard to find too.
Uh, Jack, I go there to fish stripers. Yeah, I caught a striper in Texoma as well. Jersey says don't eat more than one fish a week. I have no doubt coming from New Jersey that that's true, and I probably wouldn't. New Jersey is the most populated state in the union. Well, most densely populated for its size. California is the most populated state in the union. New Jersey is the most populated state for its size. We need a recipe to cook them. Actually, yeah, Jack. What is his name? He's got one arm from Kentucky. He's got both arms, but he can only use one. Tim Farmer. Go on YouTube and look up Tim Farmer, and he did striper linguine. Pretty good. But he has a Tim Farmer's Country
Nice.
Cooking, or he used to be the host of Kentucky's the longest running outdoor show in America is Kentucky Afield out of Kentucky, and he was the host of it for 20 something years. But now he does a PBS affiliate show called Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. But look up Tim Farmer's Striper Linguine. It's pretty good. So if you're looking for a new recipe for your striper. They should make and process the Asian carp into cat food. I've thought about that. Like, I don't know why they don't strike up a deal with pet food companies. And I've had
I think they
the
did.
Asian
I think that
carp.
was one of the things they actually accomplished.
Was it? I know there's an Asian market. It's funny here. You can't give them away, and where they're from, they're a delicacy. So the only market we have is shipping them back where they came from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've had it. They're white. It's flaky. It's actually pretty good. You should not have named it a carp because that turns people off here. Because they're not actually in the carp family. They're plankton strainers. But they are pretty bony. They're pretty bony. But I had it pressure cooked, Kentucky tuna. So I guess I had cat food. They call it Kentucky tuna. You make fish salad out of it.
Nice.
Asian carp needs recipe. It's a white fish. You can do with Asian carp what you do to any other white fish. Season it, and it is. It's white meat. Season it, fry it, pressure cook it into cat food.
Chris said chum.
Maybe. I kind of wonder if that's why the blue, which also aren't from here, but if that's why the blue catfish are getting so big now, is because they have all that food source of the Asian carp. So is that why the blue catfish are getting so big in these waters? Because the blue catfish is one of the fish big enough to eat the younger Asian carp. There are also programs about reintroducing alligator gar back into the water. Now, my only question with that is like, are you going to create another problem by trying to eliminate a problem? You're not going to tell an alligator gar he can only eat Asian carp. You know what I mean? He's going to eat bass, and he's going to eat walleye. He's going to eat whatever he can get in his mouth.
Bingo.
You know?
I'm telling you, man, the more we mess with stuff, the more we mess
No.
it up. I mean, we always have the best intention, not always, but we often have the best intentions. But I think the more we futz with nature, the more nature just futs us right back.
Yeah. Stock or prima, and that's another thing. We have gar here. Yeah, Texas does have the alligator gar list. They used to be more prominent in all areas of the South. That they were villainized in the 40s and 50s. They were blamed for a lot of things they probably had little to nothing to do with. There used to be rewards for them and stuff, so they were alligator gar were damn near hunted and killed to extinction.
Biggest one I've ever seen was in brackish water, um, right the St. Mark's River, not far from here. Thing was almost as long as my boat. It was gigantic. Looked like a dinosaur. It's one of the scariest, creepiest things I've ever seen. And he was just cruising along right next to the boat. I was like, holy crap. I mean, it was giant, just a giant alligator gar. Huge.
I saw them on.
I also saw I also saw a leatherback turtle in, or I call them leatherbacks. I don't know what their actual name is, but those big flat, funky looking ones on Lake Talquin that was as big as the deck of my boat. It's huge. Had to be hundreds of years old
Wow.
or 100 years old. You know, it's definitely gigantic. I think it might be leatherback.
I've
Creepy
heard them
though when they
called
get that
leatherback.
big and they're next to the boat. It's creepy.
Yeah. Well, fishing in Florida, have you had any gators show up?
Oh yeah, all the time. But typically they just don't. If you don't mess with them or you don't get too close. But typically, if you're fishing down a bank and there's gators lined up on the bank as far as you can see, about every 10 feet. As soon as you get within 20 or 30 yards, they start peeling off into the water. I mean, they're not they don't usually stick around and cause problems. The only time I've ever been a little bit afraid of an alligator in the water was in mating season. And it was a big bull, and he was in his full arched back, throat shaking, that whole 9 yards. The water around him literally was vibrating, and he was not happy that we were nearby. And he kept letting us know that he wasn't happy. I don't think he would have come at us, but that's the only time I've ever felt a little bit afraid. Most of the time, as soon as you get anywhere, any kind of close, it's just like turtles on a log. As soon as you get anywhere close, they just start peeling off the log into the water. It's the same with gators down here most of the time. Plus, they get hunted by permit, but they get hunted all the time. So they're, they're fairly skittish of dudes and boats, I would assume, anyway.
Stock aircraft probably had the same problem. Everyone yelled, "Kill the goby." Turns out they are protein bars at Jack the Smalley's. That's true. Up here we have these invasive. They're gobies. It's a bait fish, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Okay. But turns out they're smallmouth candy.
Yeah.
Smallmouth got
But didn't
bigger.
they
There
do
was
something else? I mean, I thought, yeah,
well, see, the smallmouth got bigger. They were fish are opportunistic eaters. They're not looking for filet mignon. I don't even know if they got taste buds. Yeah, I mean, They're looking for a meal to
Yeah.
swim by. And now 20 meals started swimming by. Shit. You know?
Like, let me give that a try.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
not
you ain't
nearly
got
as
no
crunchy as
scale.
crawfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't pinch back.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a lot less painful. Now they're even making baits designed after them. So you got any trips planned in the near future? Or just with your high school kids?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have another high school event in 2 weeks, I think. Um, and I'm hoping to fish some next week when Zach's back at his mom's and we're up at the lake. So I'm hoping to fish a couple days next week. We'll see. The water gods allow it.
Oh, yep.
It's fun to catch them when they're all grouped up in little creeks and residential canals. Like I said, when we caught those 10 or 12 we caught a couple of weekends ago practicing for our high school kids, we saw 50 or 60 more. I mean, they just flood back into the back to do their business, and it's just fun. It's a lot of fun when you can sit in one spot and just cast in a circle around the boat and catch fish everywhere you land. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, catching fish is a lot more fun than not catching them.
You betcha. Always.
Dark sleeper. Yeah, I saw that the other day, Chris. That's what I was thinking of. I didn't know the name of it. Jack, have you run into Jack Van Fleet asked, have you run into any Florida pythons, Tim?
No, I haven't seen one personally, but I love it was an FLW event several years back, and one of the guys in the top 10 that was fishing on Sunday called it the Python patch because literally every day of the tournament he caught a kicker off the patch where the big python was curled up in it, like reeds, and
Mm-hmm.
they showed pictures of it that day. But I've never seen one myself in person. No. They've got a season on them now, or they're doing special hunts for them now because they've wiped out entire deer populations in the Everglades.
What would you do with it, though?
Eat it, skin it.
It's edible? Mm-hmm. I can see that one.
If rattlesnake's edible, why isn't python? I mean, we eat all kinds of snakes, but
Good question.
I mean, I would assume that just like alligator, there's a market for it. I mean, don't they make like snake skin boots and stuff? Like they make alligator skin boots and stuff?
That, that's true. Yeah. I didn't think of that. I get there's a market for its leather or hide.
Or whatever.
Python skin boots. Python skin boots.
Yeah.
Boots and belts. Yeah.
Yeah, all because people got thought it was cool, owned it, and then at a certain point they got tired of dealing with it and they released it in the canal. And now they're everywhere in South Florida in the Everglades. I think
Damn,
didn't they
Jake.
just start a new show in the Everglades where they're going after the big pythons? I think
Maybe
it's
they
one
did.
of
I don't
those
watch a lot of
outdoor
regular
adventure
TV.
shows.
I don't watch a lot of
Yeah, I
regular
don't either,
TV.
man. But I just it seems like it's on the same kind of line as the swamp people, the alligator hunters in Louisiana and Texas. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of that same idea TV show, just going after the pythons.
Jack says they are paying to catch them, shown on TV. Thought I had heard a snake park
Yeah.
got flooded.
I just know what they've always said is that most of them ended up in the Everglades because of people releasing them.
What are you catching fish on right now, Tim?
You mean bait wise?
Yeah.
Everything we caught last week, we remember we're Mr. Twister family, but the Cometa, basically a Cinco style bait, wacky rigged, long casts, braid to fluoro, leader. Do you remember Trapper Tackle? Remember the Trapper hooks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got
Best.
some.
This is the best tip. I don't know how many people we got listening, but this is one of the best tips I can ever give you. When he was going out of business, I bought a shit ton of his drop shot hooks. Turns out those drop shot hooks are fantastic wacky hooks. And we literally had to use the pliers every single time to get these fish unhooked. That's how, and they, because of that little turn, that little squared off bottom of that hook, they can't turn on the hook. We landed every single fish that bit. We did not lose, and literally every single time we could not get it out. We had to get the pliers to get it out. That's how stiff that hook was in their mouth. But they're actually not Jack, Trapper drop shot hooks that we're using as a wacky hook. And in fact, Matthew just left for the U.S. Open and had to climb in my boat to steal a bunch from me because I loaded up when he was going out of business and he was selling everything 2-for-1 or 50% off or whatever. I bought a ton of his hooks, just the trebles and just the drop shot hooks. I'm not a fan at all and wasn't a fan of his worm style hooks. I just couldn't. They didn't work. They worked great if it was a super thin profile worm. If it had any bulk to it at all, like the big speed worms we like to throw down here, they you can't get it through the hook right. It doesn't. You can't. The hookup ratio is horrible on those. But his treble hooks and those little drop shot hooks are fantastic. But I loaded up on them. I hope you can probably still find them online somewhere, but I know he went out of business when everything with China got weird.
Jack Fan Fleet says he still sells them.
You still got some? Do you have any of the drop shot hooks? I'll buy the drop shot hooks from you.
I've got a couple of
I'll
lures
send you
that had them
serious
on.
money.
I got a couple of lures that had the
Those trebles are
treble hooks on.
Yeah,
But
the treble hooks are amazing.
The worm hooks, like you were talking about, like even a regular fluke or whatever, when I Texas rigged it, couldn't set the hook because on the worm hooks, that square is center. So when the fish would bite down on it, just because the hook point was straight out of its mouth.
I had a horrible time. Yep. Now, but I'll tell you, when I did hook them on those worm hooks, they didn't come off. I mean, the technology was still there, but I only threw them, and I still have a bunch, and I'll probably still use them, but only for like trick worms, long, thin profile worms where the rubber's not going to bunch up and block that hook because it just didn't want to come through right.
I had some offset worm hooks, 3/0 and 4/0. If you're talking about like the regular, not only they were the regular worm hooks, like the treble hooks were cool, but the regular worm hooks, they were thick, they were dense, heavy.
Yeah. Well, we like that down here. Those are braid hooks. No. That's when you're setting the hook into an 8-pound girl's face, and you got to get through all that that thick crap, and then you got to drag her out of whatever she's in. Yeah. I've bent light wire hooks even on a spinning rod. The way we set the hook down here.
But yeah, I was always pulling the hook out of the mouth. The hookup ratio was not fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I quit using them. But I'm telling you, those treble hooks are to die for. I've got a buddy that's got a video. He's letting and he did it for Trapper Hooks. He did it as a promo video, but he had a 5.5 pound bass on a rattle trap. You know how bad you can lose those stupid fish. And he just keeps letting it jump. I mean, it jumps like 5 or 6 times. He just keeps letting it jump. And he said, I promise you it's not coming off. He said, I was sold the first time I started catching fish on a rattle trap, because we have a lot of rattle trap time down here where it's the perfect bait. And but it's one of those baits that the bass can throw that hook pretty easy because it's easy for them to lever off of it. And those treble hooks, they just don't come off. I mean, when you stick them, you stick them.
Jack says they're on his eBay
I wish
page.
he had hung around. I got to meet him. What's that? Oh, okay,
Jack says
cool.
those hooks are on his eBay page.
Yeah.
No,
It's mostly what I want is the drop shot hooks.
I thought it was an inventive product, and he worked with me a couple of times. He sent me stuff. I've got one of the hats here somewhere. He sent me T-shirts and hats and hooks and stuff for giveaways. You know, I wish he'd have made it through too. I did.
No, and he's a really nice guy. I met him at ICAST. Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, and I'm a pretty honest guy, his worm hooks weren't ideal for what I do, for how I fish.
Hated him. I loved him in theory until I started fishing with him, and then I couldn't stand it. I was missing fish I've never missed in my life, and I just couldn't. It's about the circumference of the worm itself. The little thin profile worms, it's fantastic, no problem. Anything as big around as a Cinco or larger or fatter, it will not. Mm-hmm. You cannot get a hook set on it. I defy you to prove to me you can catch a fish on that hook on anything bigger than round than a Cinco. I lost so many fish I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, there's no way I didn't stick that fish.
Chris says that he thinks that Tackle Warehouse is still selling them.
Cool.
Trebles too. Yep, love Trapper hooks too. Trebles too. Yeah. I think Tim's after the drop shot hook. Yeah. I've got some Jack's Lures stuff with treble hooks on it here in my box somewhere. It's got those tackle hooks on them.
Well, looky there. And they're on closeout. Thanks, Chris. I think it was Chris. Said that Tackle Warehouse has the drop shot hooks.
He told me he couldn't get China to produce at a price he could work. Design was new to China. Maybe that's back when they were tariffed.
Yeah, he blamed the political stuff. Oh yeah, they've got a ton. Oh yeah, I'm loading the boat. Back the truck up. I'm buying all of them. I'm telling you, dude, I was so blown away. And it's a fairly big. This is one of the larger drop shot size hooks. I mean, it wasn't tiny. I mean, it's not. And I could not get any of those hooks to come out without picking up the pliers. They were that stuck. And I was like, hell. I mean, I liked them before, but I'm in love now, especially when all you're doing is leaning back on that spinning rod and reeling. You're not really setting the hook.
Mm-hmm.
You're just leaning back, which is very hard for me to do. Very hard. But you're just leaning back and reeling, and those things were stuck. So it was crazy.
I do a lot of finesse. It's almost habit now to just lift up. That's my hooks there right there most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yep.
Jack says he has the offset trapper singles. It took him out sad. Yeah. Excuse me.
Speaking of yawns, I probably got to bag it here in a minute.
Yeah, I was
I still got a
probably
bunch of
gonna
stuff
wrap
to
it up
get done
pretty soon.
because I can't get anything done until I get Zach in bed. So it's like now I got to catch up.
Super sharp too. They are sharp. Man, I've been poked so many times reaching in my box because of that bend. They stick up. I reach in my box to get at something else. Damn trapper tail. Yeah, they are a sharp hook. I'll
Yeah,
give him that.
yeah, they're sticky. Sticky.
Yeah, yeah. Hard to get out of your clothes too. I got a lot of sun shirts that got little holes down through here.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, did they make it? I just thought about that. They did. I put some next gen baits on the trapper tackle hook once. I ain't seen them in a bit. They still around? Next gen baits? I started using Bass Reaper last year. They sent me a bunch of stuff. I like their plastics pretty well.
Yeah, they've got some cool designs.
Mm-hmm. They had this. I drop shot it. Well, it's I mostly drop shot it. The Mighty Minnow. It's a fluke style.
Yeah,
That big with a twisty tail on it. All black. Daylight savings this weekend too. They teach you quick. Yeah. Yes. I'm guess you're talking about next gen base jack. They made it. I haven't seen them in a while. They sent me that minnow they make. It's supposed to be a wounded minnow. Swims funny. I think I caught a couple on it. You ever use them, Tim?
what's that?
The next
Next
gen
gen?
baits that. Yeah, you ever use them?
Somebody sent me some at one point, or I won some at some point, and I fished some of them, but not on a regular basis.
Yeah, I didn't fish on a regular basis either. God's honest truth. If you find anything that outfishes a Cinco, let me know. But you know,
Yeah, yeah. All my kids' first solo bass, every single one of them. Zach's the obvious exclusion. We always have to help him, but the every one of my other four of my other five kids, wait, my other four kids, their first solo bass, every single one of them, their first solo bass came on a Cinco style bait. Weightless too, by the way. Just weightless Texas rig Cinco.
Have a good night, Jack. Thanks for coming in, bud.
Bye, Jack. See you, buddy.
It works. Like, it's the bait you hate to love and love to hate. Because it is finessey
Dude,
as
it's
all
my
get out.
go-to confidence bait. And again,
Yeah.
I throw Mr. Twister's Cometa, but it's the same idea. And it's my number one confidence bait. If I have a Cinco in my hand, or a Cinco, if I have a Cometa in my hand, I know I'm going to catch fish. It's 100% confidence bait.
Yeah. Stick bait.
I'm even having fun catching them wacky rigged on a spinning rod. Yeah.
Catches fish. I keep the wacky clapping. They eat the jig. They do. I'm not saying there aren't other baits or rigs out there that don't catch fish. I catch
Dude,
one on
personal
jig.
best came on a my personal best came on a jig.
But when you need to get bit,
flipping lily pads.
When you need to get bit, weightless stick bait on a wacky rig.
Pull out. Yep.
And wait for it to fall 1 foot a second. 1,000.
Yep.
1,000.
And I'm telling you, the less you do to it, the better. No lie.
Chris says my PB
is so damn versatile. I fish it.
My PB is on a wacky.
There you go, wacky stick bait.
Yep.
Yep. There you go.
Mine's on a fluke. Texas rigged.
Fluke's a great go-to bait. Again, same way. Just throw it weightless on a good worm hook. Just twitch it around. Looks like a minnow. Yep. Falls like a minnow. All right, kids. I got to get out of here.
Thanks for coming in.
Y'all have a wonderful evening. It's good hanging out with you again, Kelly.
Always
glad I could jump on.
Hey, when travel opens back up,
y'all take care.
We'll talk about that lake house. All right. Have a good one, man.
And I'm telling you, if it's just you and your wife, you can come stay with us.
I appreciate that. It's awful kind of you.
Yeah, brother. Glad to. We love people. We love food. We love fishing. It's all good.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Have a good night, Tim. Chris says ripping it through pads. Yep. No pads. Mine was off of a laydown. All right, I'm going to watch Peaky Blinders. Have a good night, Chris. Enjoy your evening. I think I'm going to go celebrate my evening here in a little bit. Drink a beer and smoke a cigar in the back and enjoy the 70-degree weather while it lasts, because it won't last long. So appreciate y'all coming in tonight. Thanks for joining us on Blue Collar Fishing. Tune in next Thursday night. Maybe we'll even have another guest. Tim was a nice surprise tonight. I didn't have anything scheduled or planned, but it's always nice talking to Tim. He's a really good wealth of bass fishing knowledge. So have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. If you haven't subscribed yet, appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. We upload Tuesdays at noon for our regular videos, and there'll be a short come out Friday night, Friday and Sunday, 2 shorts a week. Enjoy your evening. We go.